There we go. Well, at least something worked. More I can say for me. Okay, once again, we start with, you can't fix stupid, but ignorance is a lifestyle choice.
Choose ignorance. Yeah.
John's wearing his gang symbol today. He's one of the hot boys.
See, I gotta see. I'm on and everything.
Well, that's a flame. I just realized looking at it.
Well, I think the flames probably died down to an ember now, but I mean, still, it's you see all the gray ash on his head, right?
Yeah, all the gray ash on my head, you know.
Okay, before I forget one thing, and it's from watching this bombastic woman on television today. Rubber chicken. Today goes to those people who feel that in a discussion, volume is a substitute for intelligence. And we all know more than one of them. So, okay, Stu, you were bringing out a few things earlier.
I got one that I think is hilarious. We'll start with this. It's a company down in Florida. Florida. And we got a lot of Florida mans today. Anyway,
you know, you've heard about the game where you go to Google or whatever, you type in your birthday and Florida news.
Yeah.
And then it turns out to be something really funny, and I mean, it's hilarious.
Well, the biggest thing is it's always Florida man, whatever.
Yeah.
I decided that all these flat earthers got to read this stuff because there's got to be a curvature to the earth because things roll to California, things roll down to Florida. Simple as that. At any rate,
you know what? That actually makes a certain amount of sense.
Yeah,
all the nuts live on the coast.
Yeah, right. That's what they say. All the loose nuts roll to the coast. Yeah, so it's got to be round.
Yeah, I'm a square nut. That's why I'm still in Michigan.
Yep. A brewery got his van stolen, and they went online.
They got what stolen?
They got their van.
Oh, van, yes, I heard about that. Yeah,
stolen, and they went online and they said, whoever finds it, Brad will buy you a cake party. If you stole it and bring it back, you'll also get a cake party. Smile for the camera, though. Got their van back in 42 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But within this 42 minutes, the van had been used. Let me find it here. Had been used in 10 break-ins. So, yeah. The van.
And who says millennials aren't active and full of energy?
Yes.
Yeah.
These guys had it for 42 minutes, broke into 10 cars, brought it back, got their free kegger, and by the way, the police did catch them because they did smile for the camera.
Can you imagine, to come back, we just did 10 break-ins and they'll give us a free keg of beer. Oh, let's go give them our names.
Yeah. This is back to there's a lot of intelligent people in jail. No, there isn't.
You know what gets me is how many times you see in the paper, of course I haven't done it lately because I don't care how ignorant you are, eventually you learn a little something. But how about all the times that they would throw a party and all the people that they couldn't find, the felons and the other people that escaped prison, they would put little things out in places where the police knew that they frequented, and they would say party, and these people would show up or free drugs.
VCR.
Yeah. Or you may be a winner.
Yeah.
And they fall for it over and over and over again. There was one they actually did a TV series. I don't know if you guys ever saw it. It didn't last long. The police actually opened a fake pawn shop, and it was so successful that they kept it going, even on top of arresting 2 or 3 guys that had broken into houses every week. But they made so much money they kept it going anyway.
Yep.
So
I like the ones where they used to have free VCRs or whatever, or the ones that bring your drugs down to the department. We'll test them for purity.
Yeah, we'll test them for purity. Actually, nowadays, some of the cop shops, when they get tested for purity, some of the guys come in there and they just test them, and
that's a good one.
Bring some more.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's completely pure or not. Bring me some more.
I need another ounce for study. Yeah.
Well, I know back. What? You stupid machine.
Is it doing something again?
Yes.
We're on, Stu.
Come on.
Oh, you keep pushing, you figure it out. I got another Florida man.
Go.
Okay, it's been Florida Man Week. All right, there was a police chase where a gentleman had an issue with his wife and everything else, and he went back to the house and he lit the house on fire, jumped in his Dukes of Hazzard Charger replica, and took off, and the police were chasing. He was playing Dukes of Hazzard through Florida streets. They did catch him and, get him and everything else.
Well,
But he had
now it's nice to me.
yeah. But anyway, Dukes has a replica Charger. He ended up wrecking it. That's why they ended up catching him. It didn't quite make the jumps that it does in TV.
Yeah.
Do you know how many of those they went through? I saw the number, almost 200 of those
Yeah.
got wrecked. And all I could think of is, man, that was a pretty car. Why did they have to wreck them all? And they must have found them, like in garages and barns and stuff. But there was almost 200 of them that were totaled out. I'd like to know where they put all the parts.
Well,
Somebody
really?
bought all the old ones. So I was watching one of those car show things, and some guy who did movie stunts, etc., learned that they were getting rid of them all, and he bought, en masse, $1 million for everything or whatever, and he ended up having the original one that was the good one with the big engine and everything else that they didn't use for jumps and everything else, and he had like 4 that they had 6 cylinders in them with 3 speeds on the column that they used, just garbage. They paint them orange and run that one over the cliff.
I always think back to the one time in a movie, an American Motors car was used in a stunt, was in a James Bond movie, when it went over, they're called clones in Thailand because I lived there, but he was in Thailand on a drug thing. Anyhow, and people got to realize that these stunts have nothing to do with the automobile, it's all physics. But this car went over the drainage ditch and did a spin, then landed back on it. Well, if you hadn't built the ramps just right, which is what you have to do,
Yep.
Yeah.
the car would have been totaled. But it was the only time you ever saw an American Motors car.
Probably the only one light enough to do the spin and make in the area they had.
You know what?
Actually,
One of
if
these
you
days,
press it once and then stop. And I think if you use your fingernail, that's not good. It doesn't get good electrical connection. I'm just making up stories as I go along.
It's the galvanic response from the, whatever on your fingertip, something like that.
somebody said, I think it was you last week, a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago, that try licking my finger.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to lick the ball peen of the hammer before I hit it.
There you go. That'll work.
You know what?
It doesn't like you. Just
No.
face it.
You know what, John? You run it.
Now we got to
Oh,
wait.
good. It's not just me.
No,
it
now
takes
it's
a moment.
changed. See, it's
Oh,
changed.
I see. You
Leave,
gotta-
leave it set
Yep.
in the
Oh,
middle,
yeah.
and we'll all take turns.
You have
then
a-
it'll
yeah,
be
but-
confused who to abuse.
That's right. It won't know. It won't know to pick on me. Well, that's pretty smart, John.
Once a week, I come up with something smart.
They must have your drugs adjusted right again.
Yeah.
Better living through chemistry.
Okay. Yeah, that's what they used to say.
1970s joke. Yeah, better living through chemistry.
But there was another, and it wasn't a joke, but in the late 70s, early 80s, everybody said cops got the best drugs.
Yep.
Oh, and the one thing about those cars, you did see an American Motors car in Wayne's World.
That's right.
When they were singing Bohemian Rhapsody.
But it
and-
didn't do any tricks.
No.
It went
Or
down
stunts.
the road
Well,
for American Motors. That's
that was
a thing.
that was a major problem.
That's a trick.
Yeah. That was a Pacer, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Pacer.
Yeah.
I've always been surprised they didn't use more for the big blow-ups, where the car burst into flames. I mean, that's what all the old Mavericks and Pintos were known for. Why didn't they just use them all the time?
Yeah. Yeah, and there was the little tiny Chevette that could burst into flames real well
Oh,
too.
those were, I had that at a company car for 10 years. They were wonderful vehicles.
You guys are lying.
No. Sarcasm. Sarcasm.
I'm
Sarcasm. 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 Anyway.
Yeah,
Sar.
it's not our October
Arr.
or August.
Argus.
I'm
Yeah.
tired of looking at you. Hell with you.
Go, John.
Oh, now I got to go
to
back to the editing.
Well,
Sweet.
we got
Okay.
A Darwin Award.
There. Oh, there you go. It's working.
Support Group is the title from this one. In the Czech Republic, a pack of thieves attempted to steal scrap metal from an abandoned factory in Klano. Unfortunately for them, they selected the steel girders that supported the factory roof. When the roof supports were dismantled, the roof fell, fatally crushing 2 thieves and injuring 3 others. So I guess it wasn't a team award because only 2 of them went out. But I mean, What are you thinking is going to happen when you take the last support out? What are you thinking?
I was actually thinking more, if the guy's name was Nick, was he upper colon Nick or lower colon Nick?
He was probably Nick Danger.
I'm sorry. I love puns, no matter how bad they are.
And then
That was bad.
in the same year, almost the same month, in the Philippines, 3 entrepreneurs planned to profit from stolen scrap metal. They entered a former U.S. military complex and approached the prize, an abandoned water tower. Bedazzled by the potential upside, the 3 threw logic up to the wind and began to cut the metal legs out from underneath the tank. Guess where it fell? Straight onto the thieves. Their flattened bodies had not yet been identified. I mean, and then of course, steel makes people stupid. That's what it is.
What? STEEL or STEAL?
Yeah. 2 teens were disassembling an electric tower with wrenches when it toppled to the ground. They apparently wanted to sell the aluminum supports for scrap, but they failed to realize the essential role that the aptly named support played in the 160-foot tower, that tall. One of the men was crushed by the collapse of the 10,000-pound tower, only 10,000 pounds, while the other dug himself out from under, a sad but wiser man. So actually, only one of them got the award, though. Only one got the Darwin Award. The other guy,
Survived.
survived.
I'm sorry, sir. You came in second. You survived.
Hey, that's what all those Vietnam vets say. We came in second.
Yeah.
You're on.
We need to. That's where the school system is failing. They're not teaching people to be lazy thieves. Any lazy thief would have cut 2 of the legs because they were lazy. Then the thing would have fell over and they could have picked it up off the ground. What is wrong with
But they
people
have to
that they
teach
don't?
them which way it's going to fall. That's the trick.
Well, whichever way the wind blows.
Not necessarily, yeah.
I know.
I still remember a tree.
Yeah.
As a scar ever healed. Anyway.
Long time ago, Stuart and I and our third brother decided to cut a tree down in his backyard. And we just about killed each one of us in a different way, believe it or not.
It's very interesting. My wife walked back, watched us working out, and went like, I'm going to the bar. Call me if you need me. And they didn't have cell phones back then. But we survived. Barely.
Well, they talk about brain damage, but it doesn't always show up right away.
Brain damage, yeah. Anyway.
You got something else, too?
I got one more This has been Florida Man Week. All right. Inmates help a police break into a car that a woman had locked her baby inside accidentally and left the keys in there, and she's all flipped out, and she called the police.
I think I heard about
The
this.
police were transporting somebody, and they couldn't figure out how to open the car, and the thief got out and said, well, give me a coat hanger. I said, well, coat hangers, there's nothing to hook up to. He says, and he explained to him, this is exactly how you do it. And he had it open in like 45 seconds after the police played with it for about an hour. And the woman actually filmed it all and was very, very happy that this nice gentleman in full prison garb broke into her car so that she could save her child.
Now, see, the one I was thinking of, this is not the only time that's ever happened. There was a work detail of prisoners out, I believe in Georgia, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But they were out, like, cleaning up. Same thing. Somebody locked, I don't think it was a child, but the car was locked. And these guys, oh, well, this is what you do, because the police could. And I'm surprised, because the one time I used to make Slim Jims for cops, because it's very simple. The biggest thing, you got to get the right kind of steel. And for a while, there were cars made in such a way that they were extremely difficult to use. But somebody really knows what you can't make anything foolproof because they keep coming up with smarter fools.
Yeah.
That's the way it was explained to me, and it didn't really make a lot of sense, but I guess it does in the long run. Now, there's one thing, sorry about the little click, but there's one thing I wanted to bring out. I'm trying to remember which one it was, about a Florida one in Key West. A Maryland man, now he wasn't from Florida, so
But he was in Florida, so
A Maryland
he
man
rolled that way. With
accused of leaping
current of
onto
the
a
earth.
pelican has returned to face charges. What in the world would possess a person to jump on a pelican? They're not going to give you the fish back.
Was he trying to get a ride? Why? Yeah.
A pelican isn't even that big to give you a ride.
Yeah, that's
I mean, if you jumped on a rooster, I could understand that. You know.
Or an ostrich.
Oh, I'm sorry, ostrich. I said rooster, but I meant ostrich.
Well, you were thinking Kentucky Fried Chicken, obviously.
Yeah. But the
Well, I'll tell you what, that'd be
an
some
ostrich-
drumsticks, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
the only thing is, if you jump on an ostrich, you better be wearing a helmet, because after he throws you off, he's gonna kick the living crap out of you. Those ostriches can be really
Well,
mean.
you know, I think those and emu both have like they get the claws like this, the talons, whatever, then they got another
Thorn, back.
a claw back down there that will literally rip you apart.
Yeah, those, you know, you got to understand the ostriches live with lions and hyenas and other things that eat them. So they got some kind of a weapon on them.
Usually a 38, anyway.
I was going to say, sounds like a lot of people I used to work with.
Yeah. Open carry in Australia.
Here's one that kind of tickled me. Wailuku, Hawaii. A judge suggested a man not drink his favorite soda during 4 years of probation on a car theft conviction. Judge Rondelou suggested Christopher Montiliano. Sounds like the guy that Edgar Allan Poe bricked up in the wall, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, Christopher refrained from Pepsi because he lied to police during his arrest about taking a stolen car to buy soft drinks. Now, this to me is right up there with the Ohio judge that had a guy who was drunk driving several times, and the judge ordered him to move closer to the liquor store so he could walk instead of drive.
Yeah.
It was overturned.
Oh, it was?
Well, I don't know the conviction or the car, but something.
Jeez. Yeah, my bottles just get overturned, you know. That's why I'm supposed to drink out of the low bottles and the cans.
No
'cause they're
sippy
tall
cups?
Yeah, sippy cups work. Sippy cups work.
I know that was bad.
Okay, a weight lift. Guadalajara, Mexico. 24-year-old Jessica was working out in Provincial Hotel's gym when she realized she needed something from the floor below. Instead of picking up the phone, using the intercom, or just walking downstairs, she decided that the open shaft of the industrial lift was a communication device for her. So Jessica stuck her head into the empty shaft to shout to the people downstairs. And somehow she missed that the elevator was coming up towards her, not behind her, up towards her. If the elevator was going down, you could say that she was no point to observe it. She stuck her head in there. The elevator came at her. She didn't pull it out in time, and she won a Darwin Award.
That makes me think about the again. I think it was in the Philippines where they got killed stealing scrap steel. Was it the Philippines where the kid played hooky from school, hopped on a city bus, but had his head out, hanging out the window, and the clearance was so close between the bus and the buildings that he had a pop top.
Yeah, it was a telephone pole. You know, there was good clearance until the telephone pole. See, so telephones are responsible for a lot of deaths, even when it isn't for making text. If that telephone pole wasn't there, that kid would have been alive. Blame it on the telephone. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. We'll reel you in. Once you go off your channel, we'll reel you back into somewhat of the reality in this room.
I'm not sure you're aware, John, but he and I have both had telephone poles and trees and things jump right out in front of us while we're driving down a perfectly clear road. And, these things do move, and they never tell you that, but they really do.
Our other brother had large rocks. His nickname's Rock, which is why it's humorous. He's hit some large rocks.
Yeah, and then the funniest part was how hard he had to work to get it off the rock. So, I don't think we're going to have Carl say anything today. Yeah, to heck with Carl. Oh, come on. You all got quiet. Go.
Okay. Yeah, here's a cowardly death. Okay, confirmed true. Ooh. In Cambodia, Unwanted amorous advances on a heifer resulted in a man's death at the hoofs of the violated bovine.
Wait a minute, it gives all new meaning to the term animal husbandry.
Sounds of a scuffle accumulated in the discovery of his naked body lying beneath the frightened family cow. Injuries to his head and genital area were consistent with being kicked to death.
Oh, that's special.
Why did he do it? The man's divorce had become final 10 days prior to his fateful final fling. In his divorce, and also a previous divorce, his ex-wife cited his insatiable desire as the cause of the dissolution.
So he just got divorced from the cow?
Yeah, I guess he was married to a woman first.
Oh.
But police concluded that the man died in a rape gone wrong. They do not plan to take any action against the cow, which appears to be acting in self-defense. Okay. And of course, the reader said, no bull.
Oh, God, it's awful. Here, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Wilmington, Massachusetts. Now, having lived in New Hampshire right next to Massachusetts, this doesn't surprise me a bit. A spokeswoman for supermarket chain Market Basket told the Boston Globe that, quote, as far as we know, all of our stores are ghost-free, unquote, after someone posted on social media about seeing an apparition at a store in Wilmington. Now, we all know if it's on the internet, it must be true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's true, you know. And just like this is a gang symbol. Are we near the end, Art?
Oh, and we got about 7 minutes. Why?
7 minutes? Okay.
I got a quickie.
No. There we go.
Leave your clothes
Now
on.
do what you want to do.
Leave your clothes on. Leave your clothes on. Recent studies show that there are just too many studies. All right. Authors of Attention, Decay, and Science conclude that the decreasing rate of citations of recently published works is directly related to the exponential growth in the number of studies and the finite ability for scholars to keep up with them. Now, there has to be at least 10 three-syllable words in that statement. So obviously these guys went to collage.
Okay, and I totally forgot to put the camera on you, but that's all right.
It's all right.
But you know what's funny?
There's a ghost in the room, yeah.
You know what's funny about that? Is the fact that just recently, in the past year, I have had quoted to me a couple of studies, and unfortunately age does this to you, that I remember taking place decades ago. These are all government funded. So why is our government spending money to do things that's already been done? Where's it come from?
Basically, the government has an agenda of studies that they want proved. So if you want to get a study grant, money, if you want to get money from them, you got to agree to work on a study they want. And basically, they're not, private about how they want the study to turn out. So that's how it's all done. But see, it's not a gang shirt. It's a Utica Boiler shirt.
Oh, sure. So now you're going to tell me you're in the Utica Boilermakers?
No, he's had a Utica Boilermaker.
Yeah. I never understood why it was a Boilermaker. All I could figure out when my dad told me what it was, you drink a shot of whiskey and a beer, and it's like, what? Does a whiskey make your belly boil?
It's something you do. You're supposed to drop the shot into the thing of beer and it fizzes up or something. I don't know.
I thought that was called the depth charge. All I know is I particularly am very partial to a beer with a shot of vodka in it. So I've got another one here that's kind of...
Partial to a shot of bourbon, period. Yeah, back with a beer.
St. Paul, Minnesota. Where the roads are better than Michigan?
Really?
The state Senate has passed a bill to require drivers to use hands-free devices when they want to use their cell phones on the roads. Well, I wonder if knees, elbows, and what's the other thing? Feet qualify as hands-free.
Ooh.
Try to get something hands-free. Unless you have one of these newer vehicles that hooks up to the radio and all that stuff, to get anything hands-free. Like I got an old cell phone that works. I'm not going to buy a new one. I don't believe in spending more for a cell phone than I spend for a home computer. All you can do is put it on speaker.
Unfortunately, I bought a Mac, so it ain't that bad yet.
I've been trying to tell you that. Yeah. Anyway, you take them, just kind of stick them on your dash and yell at them. That's all you can really do. Put it on speaker. It doesn't.
Yeah.
That's what I do with my dog.
Well, hands-free device. I just had an insight of Jeff Daniels in that Dumb and Dumber, and you could take duct tape and tape your phone to the side of your chin.
There you go.
And if the cop pulled you over, I can just imagine the policeman's expressions as he's looking at you in the car window. And you say, it's hand-free, it's hand-free.
And considering that locally there is at least one ordinance I know of about unobstructed, unhindered driving, and I've seen the local police give tickets to people for having too many balloons in their car.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
So they don't have much of a sense of humor. Anyway, let's see. Oh, here's another one. And people got to think about this. See, this is one of the reasons I do this. Is I keep hoping somebody somewhere down the line will realize what Spike Lee was trying to say at the end of his one movie when he looked straight in the camera and said, "Wake up." Jackson, Mississippi. State House Speaker Philip Gunn says public school teachers will likely get a one-time raise of $1,000 in the next year. $1,000. Do you know how much that is every week?
$2.10.
$20.
Yeah,
20 freaking bucks. Now gas goes up, everything else goes up. I got $1,000 raise. Yeah, you get $20 more a week. What are you gonna do? Buy a 6-pack of beer instead of a 12-pack?
You meant 12-pack instead of a 6-pack, obviously.
Yeah.
Or did you mean 6-pack?
Hey, I went to Catholic school. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, with that thing, unless they would send the teachers back in time to the 60s, then $1,000 would have bought a half a car. You could buy, for $2,000, you could buy a Ford Mustang. So when they give these people these raises, they should just send them back in time to spend their money.
Well, yeah, they could, because if you go back in time and buy the Ford Mustang, now it's worth $40,000 if you held on to it.
Yeah, the only trouble
sense
is
that way.
if the government did send you back in time, they might look at the bills and see that they were printed in the 2019, and they say, wait a minute, these are fake bills because they're printed in 2019.
Well, it's Federal Reserve note. You go back to the 60s, they were silver certificates.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's right.
Nixon's the trader who took away the certificates.
Yep. Back in, I think it was 1970, I cashed a check in a bank in New Hampshire and write off a nice stack of brand new bills. I got 2 silver certificates. I hadn't seen one of those. They'd been out of circulation already for a few years. I held on to those, waiting to find just the right moment when I sell them to somebody, make a few bucks. And I don't know if I was gambling or drinking one day, and they just suddenly, they were more important to me one way than another. So, but we're just about down and out of time, believe it or not. There was one other thing I was going to mention, so of course it slipped my head. But we'll play the credits, and we'll get the hell out of here.
All right.
Rock and
Coffee
roll.
time.
Yeah, there we go.
Rock and roll, brothers and sisters.
Bang your head, mental health will drive you mad.